Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book. Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching?
This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book. I'm Jeff Parles. She's Alex White. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning. Something just froze on my computer, so here we go.
We can restart the show if we
Can
need
we?
to.
Can we do that
We'll
over,
just
Ryan?
redo it now. We'll give you a moment here to get everything settled on the computer.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Jeff Parles. She's Alex White. See, we're people of our words here at the South Point Studio. Alex, you know, we got a big baseball card here today. We got Bruce Marshall, our good friend, one of the best to do it in handicapping. We'll get a lot of college football looks this week with Bruce coming up. Also, of course, our power rankings. NFL, a lot of changes this week. More so than not, injuries, the name of the game. And there might be a big one in Washington, which we'll discuss a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this show. You just mentioned it. We're hitting everything. Love when Bruce comes in here in studio to talk some college football with us. And then it's a lot of fun just, going over our top 10 weekly. So looking forward to that segment as well.
Well, let's dive into some baseball already in Pittsburgh. By the way, Cubs have a 4-0 lead on the Pirates immediately. Looking at this NL wildcard race, which is basically who stinks the least to the finish line for that final slot. And the Reds, I look, another opportunity. And all these teams, I mean, the Mets have had plenty of opportunities to make this not a race. The Reds have had opportunities to catch the Mets. Same with the Giants over the last few weeks, which has led to a totally different team out of left field now as the 7th team. You see the Arizona Diamondbacks now a game and a half behind. But Cincinnati, they're up first. Their game starts in about 15 minutes in St. Louis. They're 3 games back. Yes, they have the tiebreaker on the Mets, but we're running out of runway for all these teams if they're going to catch New York. 11 games to go basically for everyone. Arizona has 10. Reds get shut out yesterday. Today they have Brady Singer against Palante on the other side. Alex, looking at this one, you have Cincinnati and the Cardinals as a total of 8 with the Reds as a slight favorite in this one.
This is a red spot. They got to have it, right? Shutout yesterday, win the game before. Andrew Abbott on the bump yesterday. I didn't love it, but I like it here with Brady Singer, which sounds odd, but it's all about current form. And I like what Brady Singer has done lately. And then on the other side, Andre Palante has not been great. I mean, his median numbers in his last 5 is 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, compared to Singer, who's 6 innings and 1 earned run. So they got to have it today. I think that's a cheap price on the favorite. And feel kind of good about baseball again. Monday was a lot of road teams I liked, and it's kind of going to be the theme again here today. So here's one of them. I really like Cincinnati in this spot today.
Reds need them all at this point. If you're going to stay in a race, Cincinnati gets 4 with the Cubs coming this weekend before they wrap up with the Pirates and the Brewers. All of a sudden, Milwaukee might have something to play for that last weekend because the Phillies are scorching red hot, and that race for the 1 seed in the NL is now a legitimate race, only a 1.5 lead for Milwaukee. Yeah, they have the tiebreaker on the Phillies, but boy, with how big of a lead Milwaukee just had a few days ago, that is a real race for the number 1 seed. We'll get to both of those teams a little bit later, but they're the current standings across the board. And the team that's currently 7th in the National League is up next, and that is the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are hosting the Giants. They have a chance to sweep the series this afternoon in Phoenix and really basically put the Giants to bed for this season. And look, the Diamondbacks are alive here, even with trading Suarez and Naylor at the deadline, even with trading Merrill Kelly at the deadline. As the current moment stands, they actually would have the tiebreaker over the Mets because their NL West record is better than the Mets' NL East record. Series was tied at 3 apiece during the season. But Justin Verlander, we've talked about him, has pitched great recently. This is basically a flip here for this one. Diamondbacks are the slightest of favorites here at the South Point, and a total of 9 fought on the bump for Arizona.
You just said it. I don't think Verlander is priced correctly. I definitely think this is a giant spot, trying to avoid the sweep here, -105. I think that's a great number. You can also just go first 5. I'm seeing -110 out there. Anyway, you slice it. I like the Giants here against Brandon Pfaadt, and looking at their current form, Verlander, his median number, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, compared to Brandon Pfaadt, who's 4 earned runs off 8 hits is his median in the last 5. So, yeah, I'll take the Giants here.
That'd be the only way I'd play it, too. Giants had a big lead yesterday and then blew it. So, again, it's going a little bit backwards. For schedule purposes, the Giants begin a 4-game series with the Dodgers this week, tomorrow. 4-gamer. Dodgers, boy, a disaster last night against the Phillies. Then have 3 against the Cardinals and 3 against the Rockies. So if they can find a way to get to the final weekend alive, they'll have a chance with the 3 against the worst team in baseball. Arizona's schedule on paper looks insane. They have an off day tomorrow, and then they go 3 against Philly, 3 against the Dodgers, and 3 in San Diego. The only question with that is how much is it? Well, Phillies will have the 1 seed to play for, but what is, especially that last weekend, what is San Diego going to be playing for potentially? It might be nothing. So, again, even though it looks hard on paper, could be teams playing it close to the vest that final weekend. So, again, might not be horrendous schedule-wise for Arizona down the stretch, Alex.
Definitely one of the tougher strength of schedule.
Look, if this was a normal circumstance where everyone was playing straight up, that's insanity, those last 9 games. But I would be stunned if San Diego plays that whole last weekend straight up, especially when they're probably going to have to set the rotation for the wild card series, more likely than not in Chicago that following week starting on Tuesday. All right, let's go to Washington. Braves and Nats after the double dip yesterday, final game of this series. Waldrop, who's been spectacular for the Braves, against Brad Lord of the Nats, and a -145 favorite. The Braves are on the road with a total of 8.5.
Don't look now. Atlanta has won 4 in a row, and a lot of that does have to do with playing against the Nationals. 3 of them against Washington. I think it's the right side here. I did add in 20 cents, so that takes me off of the Braves, but I think that's a pretty good price here. Both of these pitchers have been good as of late. Brad Lord, though, actually, he's closer to the other guys. 3 earned runs in 5 1/3, where Waldrop just 1 earned run. So, again, going off of starting pitchers, maybe it's a Braves first 5 spot and kind of falls short as of late. But right now, they feels like they kind of own Washington, and just a little too late here with this talented Atlanta team that we know. And they have been playing really good the last 30 days.
Lost season, as we know, for the Braves. Just, again, disaster all the way around. This was supposed to be a 3-headed monster in the NL East, and it ended up being a one-headed monster when it was all said and done, even though the Mets still control their own destiny for a postseason berth. Speaking of the Mets, they welcomed San Diego for Game 2. They just bombarded Michael King yesterday in an 8-3 win. And maybe the Mets are onto something, too, with the piggybacking, because both Clay Holmes and Sean Manaea pitched well yesterday. And that's the best Manaea's looked since pre-All-Star break in his first appearance of the year, actually in a similar spot where he piggybacked Clay Holmes in that game in Kansas City. Minus 120 for this one with plus 105 on the other side for San Diego. Tell the 7.5. I mean, Pivetta is just not the same dude he was for the majority of the season this last month. Just wonder if he's run out of gas. With that said, I wouldn't really touch this. I think Peterson's a little too big of a favorite. Kind of like yesterday. We ended up being wrong on that, but it feels like this should be a coin flip game here tonight.
So I'm interested in something I rarely do, and Ryan's got it up on the screen right now, and that is the first half total. It's a 3.5. I think this is a great over spot. I like both of these offenses, and you mentioned it. I mean, Pivetta really hasn't been the same, and Peterson on the other side, his median numbers giving up 3 earned runs, 7 hits, and Pivetta 6, going 6, but 2 earned runs there. The Mets offense is just top of the league, right? And you can never really count them out, even against a great pitcher like Michael King yesterday. I think they'll keep it rolling here today. So I like over 3.5. There's some 4s out there if you want to take a plus price and take the chance of pushing, but I definitely think we'll see runs early on and often. I don't hate over 7.5 either for the full game.
Well, by the way, also, I forgot to mention this earlier. The Cubs do for playoff positioning, because the Padres are the most likely opponent for the Cubs in round 1. Cubs would clinch a playoff berth with a win today. So that's another one. Mets play the Cubs next week. Mets with a 1.5 game lead in that wild card race. Even though and this is just something to keep in your back pocket these last few weeks. And again, we were wrong yesterday, but granted, Ohtani threw a no-hitter through 5 innings, and then the Dodgers bullpen just got annihilated. But these high-end teams may not look quite as good over these last 9 games. You have things to keep in mind. Pitchers staying fresh. Position players, keeping them fresh. Especially next weekend when you're dealing with teams that are likely going to be playing in a wild card round, getting your starters in order once you have your seeding locked in, once you have, for the Dodgers and Padres' sake, once you have the division locked in for LA, or if San Diego makes a big comeback. That would change things, obviously, if the Dodgers continue to melt down a little bit and the Padres somehow catch them, and then all of a sudden we got a tie going into the last weekend. It changes things. But these late season handicaps for baseball really can get convoluted, Alex. I'm just throwing that out there for everybody.
Is there something to be said with teams like the Phillies that I think this is the best we've seen them play all season long, and wanting to keep that momentum going?
That's the interesting part, because, I mean, a week ago, 10 days ago, it was like, all right, Milwaukee's going to get the 1. Let's see Philadelphia try to hold off the Dodgers.
Yeah.
That race is over. It's over. It's 6.5. It's done. The Phillies and Brewers, barring a wild collapse in the NL Central by Milwaukee. Remember, Cubs have the tiebreak. They're going to be the top 2 seeds in the National League. I don't know how big of a difference there is between the 1 and the 2 seed, since the 2 seed is currently 0-3 against the 6 in the division series. Again, small sample size, but I think if you're Philly, with how big that home field advantage can be and has been this year, getting the whole, it could be the whole, forget just the NL playoffs, it could be the whole shebang. It could be through Philadelphia, and that, even without your best pitcher, can really change things. I know this comes from a Met-Padre discussion, but look, those are likely opponents. These Mets or Padres pulling upset in the wild card round. Philly's potential opponent, depending on what the seeding is. So a lot of convoluted things going on. And we get the Phillies in a second anyway. For something a little bit different here, boy, did I get lucky to get my total over in Colorado yesterday. Somehow got it to 6.5. Was totally dead, but got over 10 in that one. Marlins look to take game 2 here tonight. It's a 10.5 with Weathers and Brown. Again, total's too low for me, of course. I would only go over 10.5 here, Alex.
I do like that today, especially with those 2 pitchers going. I think it should be an 11 at least, maybe 11.5. So that is the only way I would look at this game.
Let's go to Dodger Stadium. Boy, what a disaster for the Dodgers last night. Ohtani was, look, There are people that were getting on Dave Roberts for pulling Ohtani after 5 innings. We know what it is at this point with him. He's not going to go. He's never going to go more than 6, period, this year. Just not going to happen. So I can't really get on Roberts for that. Now, I can get on the Dodger bullpen for being completely incompetent yesterday. They blow a 4-0 lead, give up 6 in the 6th. Then Dodgers get it back in the 8th, and then Trinan gives up 3 in the 9th inning. And this is the deal with the Dodgers at this point. By the way, today with Snell, they're a -145 favorite against Luzardo, who's coming off his best start of the season, where he gave up 4 runs in the first inning and did not allow a base runner the last 7 innings in an 8-inning outing. Alex, I have my big worries about the Dodgers. Today, I would only be taking a price on the Phillies because that's a juicy price, and we got past the division was clinched, and they actually played their guys last night. The Dodgers' bullpen is terrible. And unlike last year, where even though they had their inconsistencies, they were able to piecemeal it together when they needed to. I'm not so convinced that they're going to be able to do that. They're going to need their starters to go 6, 7 innings in these playoff series. Now, look, when you have Glasnow, when you have Snell, when you have Kershaw pitching at the level he's been pitching at, and geez, if Ohtani can give you 6 innings at any point, especially if it's like that, you're pretty well set up. But the way Dave Roberts manages, he's going to need his bullpen, and his bullpen has been dreadful most of the year, other than, again, that one stretch where really the Dodgers' whole season is based off one stretch, and where they played 16 games over in a 35-day period. Other than that, they've been a 500 team basically the whole season.
Right, and we've talked about it the whole season. And, I mean, they've already been underachieving here with 84 wins when they had, I think, a record high win total going into the season.
Yeah,
so
easy under.
Definitely concerns going into the playoffs here. I do trust Blake Snell, though, on the bump. And I know these are 2 of the hottest offenses. And even looking at their numbers in the last 7, I mean, both of them are above 143 WRC plus at above 370 on base percentage. Those are really good numbers there. But I would only look to first 5 under here. I think that Blake Snell can slow down the Phillies offense. Maybe they do come out a little flat after that big win yesterday. And Luzardo might give up 1 in the first to Ohtani, but I think he can settle in. So first 5 would be the way I'd play this one. This one under. Mets looking to the over for the first 5. But it's going to be interesting when we get to the playoffs, see what these Dodgers can actually do. I think it'll be very matchup dependent who can take them out early on, but I definitely think there's some possibilities.
Yeah, I just, for the NL play, and this is a very logical division series matchup. The way it sets up, Phillies are the 2, Dodgers are the 3 right now. Remember, LA, even with a 2-game lead on San Diego, boy, the Padres have just missed so many opportunities over the last few weeks to actually win the division. Yep. But again, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Still expect LA to win the West, but I mean, they might. There's a real chance they go sub 90 wins, which I don't think anyone could have imagined that. Go even in the worst case scenario, all right, they win 94, 95. The best they can do is if they go 11-0, they're 95 and 67. They're more likely than not heading for 90 and 72, which, hey, look, you only have to make the dance. It doesn't matter how you get there, but really surprising how, by Dodger standards, average they've been. By everyone else standards, a 90-win season, you take that in a heartbeat, obviously. All right, let's go to the AL. We can be quick on this one. White Sox and Orioles. Lefties today, Wells against Perez. A total of 8.5 on the south side, with Baltimore as a short favorite of -120.
Hardest decision in this one is deciding if you want to go under the full game here at 8.5 or just pinpoint the starting pitchers and go under in the first 5, because I do like both guys and I like their numbers in the last 5 starts for them. So it's one way or the other. I think that's the way to go. You're getting a plus price there under 4 with the Orioles and the White Sox here. So that'll probably be on my card today.
Let's go to Detroit next. Wild game last night that featured 6 extra inning runs, and the Guardians found a way to win 7-5. Brutal beat if he had the under in that game last night. Gavin Williams, Jack Flaherty. Flaherty's -145, total of 8. Alex, the Guardians are terrible, and yet here they are. 8 games over 500. Not actually, they're ahead of Texas now. in the race for the final wild card spot. Again, Houston doing what they need to do and really putting with a win today will basically lock away the Rangers for good. But I don't know how the Guardians are doing it, and it's not like they're playing particularly well. If you look at the numbers under the hood, they're doing what they've done all year. Their pitching has been slightly above average. They're hitting. They don't hit the ball hard. They don't hit the ball hard. And here they are with 11 games to go. If Boston falls apart down the stretch, they have a shot, as ridiculous as that is. With that said, I like the Tigers today with Flaherty at home.
It's funny because the Guardians do what some of these elite teams fail to do, and that is just beat the mediocre or the bottom feeder teams, right? And some of the best teams, they get up for the big series and then they find a way to get swept by the Pirates or swept by the Cardinals. I think the Guardians take those a little bit more serious and get those small wins. They've won 5 in a row, factored that in. Still a little bit of a lean to the Tigers. I'm with you. I think they should be closer to a $2 favorite here. So I think it's a pretty good price, but lost with them yesterday. I'm going to stay away today. I just want to see the Tigers get right first.
Yeah. I don't see it, even if Cleveland were to sweep this series and it'd be down to 3.5. But Detroit, the bigger thing now for the Tigers is you got to hold off who wins the AL West, right? Like that's the big thing now. This was not a race a week ago. This was, all right, can Detroit catch Toronto for the 1 seed? That's done. Toronto is 5 games up on the Yankees. They're now 4 up with the tiebreak on Detroit. By the way, they have the tiebreak on the Yankees too. So the AL playoffs, barring a complete meltdown over the last 10 days, is going to be through the Rogers Center north of the border. But this is down to 2 with the Tigers and the Mariners, and the Mariners won the season series. So,
Yeah.
got to hold them off. And Alex, I've said this before. For all the teams that are currently that are currently holding the buys, Toronto, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Detroit. Detroit needs that bye more than anybody because Milwaukee's starting pitchers, you know what? You can go with whatever order you want. A lot of those guys are similar at this point, especially with how their back end guys have pitched really well this year. Philly, you know what? As long as you didn't go to a game 3 in a division series or in a wild card series, you'd be okay because you could start Luzardo in game 1 and you're still in pretty good shape. And if Nola's going to pitch well, then you're totally fine.
Yep.
Toronto, all those guys are basically the same other than Bieber at this point. Tigers, you have the best pitcher in baseball. And if you have to utilize him and you mess around with your division series rotation, makes it a little bit more difficult there for the Tigers.
The Blue Jays are the most fascinating team. I am intrigued to see how real they are when we get to playoffs.
I'm with you, Alex. They're going to end up with the best record in the American League, and I'm still not certain of how good they truly are. Now, and we'll get to the Jays in a second here because they're in Tampa, but boy, they've had a charmed run. And I don't trust their bullpen at all either. I think their bullpen is terrible, but here they are going mid-90s.
Yep.
Way over their season win total already, and they're going to shatter it by the end of the year. All right, let's go to Boston. Look, Red Sox got to be a little bit careful here. Now, I don't see Cleveland catching them. I just don't. But the Sox are down to the 6th seed now. They've fallen out of the 5. Houston has hopped them with the little mini hot streak. The Red Sox do have the season series over Cleveland, so the Guardians would have to go completely by them in order to get the wild card. So, again, 2.5 game lead with 11 to go. Red Sox are still safe, more likely than not, but they're not playing well at the moment. That coincided with the Roman Anthony injury.
Yep.
We warned you when that happened that the Red Sox would not be the same, and they haven't been since he went on the IL. They got Giolito today against Barnett, who's been awful in his limited action for the A's. Minus 155 on the Red Sox here in this one with a total of 9.
So just deciding how I want to play this, either Boston on the money line just to get the win here. I really believe it's Garrett Crochet and then Lucas Giolito. I think he's been fantastic for this Boston team. One of the main reasons why they went on such a big run there. The other thing I was debating, and you brought it up with Barnett, I think we could go Red Sox team total, but their offense has scared me a little bit. 4.5 over minus 135. But I think I'm just going to go money line game. Pay a little bit more, but I trust Giolito. His last 5 games going 5 2/3. That's the median number. 1 earned run off 5 hits, 6 strikeouts in there. As hot as the Athletics have been, I think that Giolito can slow him down. So Red Sox, one way or another, I'm going to go money line.
I'm with you. It would only be Boston. Do we do the home team run line today?
That's not a bad idea. I like it.
I know it. Obviously, the numbers are against us, but it's a pretty good price with a gigantic pitching advantage here in this one for the Red Sox. All right, let's go to Tampa. Blue Jays, again, just continue to roll. With a win today, it'll be at win number 90. They've taken the first 2 in this series by 1 run apiece against Tampa. And Kevin Gausman goes today as a minus 125 favorite against Ian Seymour, plus 110 on the other side. Seymour's been pretty good in his limited action for Tampa, and a total of 7.5. Wind blowing in tonight in Tampa, so that is something to monitor.
You're right. Seymour has been really good. Looking at his numbers in the last 5 innings, pitch 5 hits, 1 earned run. But looking at Kevin Gausman, him and Luzardo are the 2 best and hottest pitchers right now coming into this day. So I want to back Toronto here. I think it's a great price, minus 125, full game. And his median number is going 7 innings here. So that means he's gone at least 3 of his last 5. 1 earned run for him off 4 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Really good control right now. Give me the Blue Jays here, minus 125.
I'm with you. I'm stunned at this pricing, personally. I expected Toronto to come 15 cents more, maybe even 20 cents more. 30, 40, 45 makes a lot of sense. It's so weird this year where usually like the teams with the 1 seeds is like, all right, baseball can happen, but they're clearly the best teams. With Milwaukee and Toronto, I don't feel that at all. Obviously, I'm well documented, and I think the Brewers are not going to have a fun time in the playoffs. But Toronto, the one difference with Toronto is I see that lineup, and it's like, okay, Springer's been arguably the best hitter in the American League since the All-Star break. Vlad Jr. has been hot recently. They're really high-end lineup. Yeah. So, again, in the AL, to me, I've always perceived as being weaker this year going through the whole season. I was just going to say, though, I mean, the market here, it's September. Blue Jays, minus 125 with how many wins now? Well, 89. 89. We need 1 more for 90. So still, I mean, I don't think the bookmakers are buying it that much yet. Let's go to Kansas City next. Very good one on the over last night. That one was a no sweater with Cal Raleigh hitting a pair of homers to be the all-time switch hitting home run king in the single season. He passed Mickey Mantle's best season, which is pretty amazing whenever you're mentioning that name. Dom Canzone hit 3 homers last night in a rout for the Mariners. Miller and Reagan's here tonight. Cole is a minus 120 favorite for Kansas City with a total of 8.5. Miller, we've talked about, has been the worst starter this year for Seattle. Do we go back to the well on the over in this one, Alex? I think so, definitely. I mean, looking at these guys, the last 5 starts, we're going to get runs from both sides again. I think this is way too low at 8.5. I think it should be 9.5. So a whole run difference there. I mean, there's also some value with the Mariners at plus 105. And you just mentioned it. Miller's been their weakest, but Seattle comes in on a 10-game winning streak. You got to add that in. And clearly the books aren't because they're still giving you a plus price here. So lean to the Mariners, but I like the over even more. Let's go to Minnesota next. Total wacko game in Minneapolis last night that the Yankees held on to win 10-9. Gil and Bradley here today. Luis Gil is a minus 145 favorite. Bradley plus 130 on the other side and a total of 9 at Target Field, Alex. I think there's a big pitching advantage here for the Yankees with Luis Gil going. 1 earned run is his median number in the last 5 starts. Bradley, not terrible. I shouldn't say not terrible. 4 earned runs for him in 5 innings pitched, but it's just off 4 hits. So maybe a little bit unlucky there. But I like the Yankees. I think it's another cheap price for the better team here. I think the Yankees get it done. Lean to the over, too. I think we're going to see runs. I mean, it's kind of nerve-wracking going with an over after 19 runs scored from both teams, but I do lean that way. Let's go to Houston next, Alex. And this is basically the season's on life support at the moment for the Texas Rangers. There's no other way to put it. They've lost the first 2 games of this series in Houston. They throw their best pitcher, Jacob deGrom, tonight, so a good guy to have on the mound to try to keep yourselves afloat. If Texas loses tonight, not only are they 5 behind the Astros, they also would lose the season series. So that would be completely adios. You're not catching Houston or Seattle at that point because the Mariners have the season series as well. And you're basically hoping that the Red Sox crumble in front of you. So this is pretty much the lights are out if the Texas Rangers lose tonight. It's minus 125 with deGrom against Christian Javier for the Astros at plus 110 and a total of 7.5 on this.
Got to add in the 3-game losing streak now for the Rangers. I'm glad I stayed off of them yesterday. I'm going to again today, but that's just a personal preference since I have a bet on them to make it to the playoffs. I think it's a great number, though, on the Rangers. That's all I have to say. I think they should be closer to $1.75, but we'll see. I thought that the last 2 days as well. Houston might just be the better team.
Up next, let's go to the last one on the board, which is still listed as an American League game for some reason, which I don't quite understand for the interleague with the Brewers. It's not the mid-90s anymore, guys. Brandon Woodruff and Jose Soriano. All right, well, this is going to put one to the test, right?
Yep.
We've talked about it all year. Soriano, great as an underdog, terrible as a favorite, and you're getting a juicy price here today. I don't know how long Brandon Woodruff's going to go. I think the Brewers are going to be very cautious over the last few weeks here, last 2 weeks with Woodruff, especially minus 220 on this with Milwaukee and a total of 7.5.
The only thing that makes me nervous is I don't know if the Angels have kind of just given up at this point. 5 losses in a row for them, but I'm with you. It would only be a take on that plus 190 for the dog. If you want to split up your unit, take a little bit on the Angels plus 190 and take that run and a half, minus 105. But I think we've got an even starting pitching matchup here for these two, and I'm with you with Woodruff. I mean, probably only going 4, maybe 5. But Soriano's got to have a good outing here for us.
You know, I'm with you. I think we're obligated, right? Like one more start after this, so we're obligated. We're probably not going to get another price on Soriano again. It's weird how some of these guys you pick up on it early, and it's like, well, we know when it's minus 165, we want no part of the Angels that day. But when it's almost any sort of plus price, all right, we can do it. With Soriano, by the way, we'll likely see him one more time against the Royals. So it'll kind of depend on who's going for Kansas City that day.
Very true.
So
is that over the weekend or
that is next week?
Next week, all right. So it'll be for our show.
It'll be Tuesday. We might even get one on Sunday, which we'll be so concentrated on football on the 28th, it won't really even matter. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we get back. Bruce Marshall in studio. We got a handful of plays here today coming for Bruce Marshall, and it'll be a fun time here on Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. This is everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though this total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team that the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorite.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. And now joining us on set, we're going to see him every Wednesday moving forward, our good friend Bruce Marshall. Bruce, you're a world traveler the last few weeks.
I know. I've been all around ballparks in the Midwest, did the little Rust Belt tour, Pittsburgh, Detroit, and then to Kentucky.
There we
go. I watched Ole Miss in Kentucky, and then I've been in Florida the last week with the grandbaby. So I've been around, and I've been watching all the games. So, and this week, actually, I'm going to Michigan State SC Saturday with a kickoff at 8 p.m. Pacific time. I'm usually asleep by the time that one is going to end. And I wonder, all these people in the East and the Midwest staying... You've got to be an insomniac to stay up to watch that game.
The good old 11, and it's Michigan State, who's in the Eastern time zone. So
yes.
It's 11 o'clock kickoff
for them.
Yeah,
that's thank you, Fox, for putting the game on at 8 p.m.
You know what? I'll say this, Bruce. Well, you know what? I'll say my piece when we get to that game in a little bit, because I know you have thoughts on it.
Okay.
So let's start in the ACC, though. The Duke Blue Devils have kind of been this betting darling through the first 3 weeks. It has not gone well if you bet them. They ended up getting clocked in Illinois in a game that got out of hand because Duke kept turning the ball over. And then Tulane really just outplayed them last week. And maybe the Green Wave are just really good. This week, Duke gets NC State. Boy, NC State if you were on the Wolfpack last Thursday, great cover against Wake Forest when they really didn't control the game until the end. Duke is 3. The total's 58.5 for this one. Again, nice little in-state rivalry in that triad there.
Yeah, that's a short Tobacco Road. That's a short ride from Raleigh to Durham. So they'll have fans there. Duke has won this game the last 2 years. But I'm glad you brought that up, Jeff, about Duke. And you would have said the same thing, Alex, that I think this team is a little bit of a darling, but the gloss is coming off. And I think after this week, it might come off because I think they may go down again. They have been a bit disappointing. That's a flattering scoreline against Tulane last week. That was not a 7-point game. They were well ahead most of the way, Tulane. And Darian Mensah, who the great investment of Duke Inc. coming in from Tulane, hasn't quite put this offense on fire. He hasn't done much better than Malik Murphy did last year. But this is also about NC State. And they're doing un-NC State type things, guys, rallying from behind both of the last 2 weeks. It was a great game against Virginia. And they came back and won. They fell back last week against Wake, like you guys mentioned, that kickoff return early, fought their way back, ended up covering. By the way, the first win over East Carolina, not bad. That's a good East Carolina team. So they have been tested. They've got a quarterback in C.J. Bailey who can make things happen. He might be their best quarterback they've had since Russell Wilson. They can run the ball with Hollywood Smothers. I think this might be Dave Doran's best team, and maybe they can aim for something higher than the Duke's Mayo Bowl this year because they're 3-0, and I think they're one of these many banana peels for the contenders in the ACC. Plus the 3 points. I think they're going to win this game outright. Guys, I would be thinking about doing this thing just on the money line, but also, +3. I've seen some 3.5s even out there. Go for it on the Wolfpack.
Okay, great job with ACC. Let's go to Big 12, two teams who might be contenders here. They didn't see each other last year. Baylor hosting Arizona State. Baylor 2.5 at home, total 59.5.
Yeah, Alex, I think this number is a little light. I'm not yet sold on Arizona State. I know they got there against Texas State last week, but I saw some of that flying in the airplane Saturday night and stuck at the airport a little bit. Texas State made some blunders in that game, and they should have been within that spread. They missed a couple of 2-point conversions after the last couple scores. ASU broke one long touchdown run, but they still, I think, missed Cam Scatterboot. He was too much of a unique threat for them not to miss. And I know Sam Levitt is good, But the first 2 games this season, they were bothered by some mistakes, a lot of penalties in the opener. They let that lead get away at Mississippi State. I don't think they are what they were last year. And oh, by the way, they did lose a couple of games on the road in the Big 12 last year. As good as they were, they lost the game at Texas Tech. They lost the game at Cincinnati last year. So they weren't quite the same away from Tempe. I think Baylor's got something going here. Now, they have been battle tested. I know they lost that game to Auburn in the opener. No shame there, but they came back to beat SMU. Great rally, great fight back. Easy win last week over Samford. They're back on track here. 1-1 after those first 2 games, not too bad. Sawyer Robertson's already on 10 TD passes. This is a short price at home for a pretty darn good team, and I think ASU is down some from last year. Baylor, baby, I'm taking the Bears.
This is a really good game. And kind of forgotten by a lot of pundits because there's no numbers next to them, which, again,
right.
But they're Baylor, we've been on Alex and I have been on Baylor all summer. The shine came off a little bit, but Auburn might be really good, which we'll get to that game a little bit later. But let's go to the game you're attending late night in Los Angeles. Chris Andrews, our good friend Chris Andrews, has USC ranked number 6 in his power rankings entering this week. And he had already had USC very high even before the 3-0 start, had him in the top 10 after the Georgia Southern destruction. They're 18 now, Bruce, against the Spartans in a total of 55.5.
Yeah, I never argue with Chris. I mean, he's usually right on these things. A couple of things. By the way, you think I'm upset about this game kicking off late? My friend I'm meeting there is coming in from Palm Springs. He is livid, like all the S. He said, I'm not going to get to sleep till 2:30. He's got to drive back home.
Got to drive back, yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyway, let's talk about Michigan State here for a second. Last year, Michigan State started 3-0 as well, an unimpressive 3-0, and they proceeded to lose 7 of their last 9 games. That was Jonathan Smith's debut season there. 5 of those losses came by 21 points or more. That was not a good team last year, and the schedule was kind of soft early, and then they lost a game to BC, and things started to unravel. This year, also 3-0, but again, unimpressive. They have yet to cover a number. How about this, kids? Go back to midseason last year. They are 8 straight games now with point spread losses. So they got an 8-game spread losing streak. Not a lot of big play threats. They're putting a lot on Aiden Child's shoulders, and I'm not sure that he is up to it. I think SC might be able to extend this margin beyond 18. In fact, I think they will. We know about this offense. Actually, that wasn't a bad effort at Purdue. I know they didn't quite get there in the spread last week, but the rainstorm, the thunderstorm there, the delay, the defense is making plays for SC. 2 pick 6s already for this Trojan defense. So they've got a defense this year. And, oh, by the way, there's some history here. I was at the Coliseum the last 2 times Michigan State played SC there in the 70s, 51-6 and 72, 30-9 and 78. They had a receiver named Kirk Gibson, who was the star of that team in 78. But anyway, their history here. And, oh, by the way, that kickoff time, you're talking about an 11 p.m. kickoff on their body clock. We saw that with BC last week at Stanford. It is tough. People talk about, the West teams going the East. How about those teams coming from the Eastern time zone playing a late night game on the Pacific? No, SC is going to win this by at least 3 touchdowns.
And USC so far at home this year, they were north of 5 touchdowns against Missouri State, won by 60. They were north of 4 touchdowns against Georgia Southern, and they won by 39. So they are no strangers to covering huge numbers so far.
Yeah, and 66 points per game, those 2 at home. Yeah, it's got the offense to do it.
It's very good. All right, let's get to it. You're wearing the shirt, Auburn. It's really all about Jackson Arnold returning to Oklahoma. Oklahoma laying 6.5. We've seen their defense. They've looked very impressive. Big win over Michigan so far this year. What are you thinking in this one? Are you looking at the side, one of these 2?
Yeah, Alex, I wouldn't be wearing this Auburn shirt if I didn't think I was going to go with Auburn here. And I am. And I'm not knocking Oklahoma. I think they are much improved here. We've seen what Mateer can do. That defense, Brent Venables has the defense he wants. And I was watching some of that Temple game last week, and Simon just had no time to throw whatsoever. But that's Temple. And I know Michigan the previous week was good for Oklahoma too, but you're talking about Bryce Underwood making his first start on the road. I mean, they have not faced a real top-notch offense yet this season. Mateer looks good, and Oklahoma might be legit, but this is the sort of game Hugh Freeze, when he's had a real team, has been able to do very well in the past. And you mentioned Jackson Arnold. This is the Jackson Arnold game, transfer from Oklahoma. He could be the Daniel Jones of college football this year. I think he just had to get out of Oklahoma, like Jones maybe had to get out of New York with the Giants. He came in there with so much ballyhoo. It was like Arch Manning, the ballyhoo he had at Oklahoma. Enormous pressure. Last year, he didn't quite live up to it, but he's got some mobility, and I think he fits Hugh Freeze's offense better, certainly better than Peyton Thorne did the last couple of years. He's got more mobility. We talked about Baylor a second ago. Arnold really hurt Baylor in that first game, and I don't think Baylor and Oklahoma, there's that much difference between those two. I'm taking Hugh Freeze here. I might not be as bold on the money line like I might be with Baylor, or I'm sorry, with NC State in that game against Duke, but plus the points here, it's going to be close. And I wouldn't be shocked if Hugh wins this one. This is the sort of game he's done very well in the past. So I'm going to take Auburn.
If you took the points with some SEC schools last weekend, it worked out for you, besides LSU kind of being the lone one to cover. So it's really hard to pass up.
I think so. And this, like I said, Arnold fits what Freeze wants to do with this offense better. And boy, I'll tell you what, that adds an extra element to a very good game on Saturday.
Boy, I'd love to see a 7. I don't think he'll be there, but boy,
me too.
that would be awesome if we can see a 7. And I am willing to go bold here. We brought it up on the power rankings. I have Auburn in my top 10.
Could be.
I think Auburn's going to win the game.
Let me ask both of you really quick. Are we worried about the defense at all? It was the first game against Baylor, but they did give up quite a few points there against a Big 12 school.
A little bit, yeah. And Mateer might just be the what the doctor ordered for the Sooners. I mean, he is really good. So, yes, that does concern me a little bit, but I like this Jackson Arnold factor and just the history. This is, like I said, when Freeze has had a good team, he has been a very dangerous underdog. I mean, he beat Alabama a couple times and he was at Ole Miss. So I think that's the angle I'd look at here.
The one thing I'll just throw out there, and even though the defense struggled against Baylor, and Bruce mentioned it, just controlling the tempo. They did that so well in that game that even though it was almost mano a mano, because Auburn got that extra possession up, they never relinquished it in that Baylor game. And as good as Mateer's been, Mateer will turn the ball over in this game. I really do feel he will.
Sure.
So we'll see how it plays out. All right, for something just a little bit different, let's go to El Paso next.
Woo-hoo.
There we go. Monroe against UTEP. Yeah, there we go. See, we don't just cover the big games here on Sports by the Book. We cover almost all of them here. Miners 6 against the Warhawks here in this one at a total of 47.
I've known you for several years, Jeff. Alex for a while. I've known your dad a lot longer. Kenny will tell you that Bruce has never brought up UTEP in a game in his life. I'm doing it this week. And I'll tell you why. I think something's going on here with UTEP. I mean, I don't want to get carried away with the Texas game last week, but they didn't look intimidated at all. And this is due to Scotty Walden, the coach. He has got this team playing with a lot of enthusiasm. I thought they actually played pretty well against Utah State in the opener, and they flustered Arch last week a lot. And Malachi Nelson, who was as ballyhooed a quarterback as you could get out of the high school ranks a few years ago. He's bounced around SC Boise. Now he's here. He didn't throw any touchdowns last week, a couple of picks, but he outplayed Arch a little bit. Game before that, he threw 4 TD passes against UT Martin. And I like Walden a lot of enthusiasm here. The other way, ULM, I don't want to downgrade them solely on the Alabama loss, but sometimes when you get beat 73-0, that is a psychological blow, a catastrophic result like that can really hurt a team's psyche. And oh, by the way, they've gone 5 straight games back to last year, not covering a spread against FBS level opposition. I'm going to ride the Miner train here. When have I ever done this? But it's a new year. It's a new season. Let's go with it. I think these guys are going to run off some point spread W's. And the Texas game was kind of a buy signal for me.
I like it, getting under a touchdown there with UTEP. Let's go to this Nevada game. They come limping in after losing 14-13 to Middle Tennessee State. Western Kentucky, we talked about them the first time you came in here. They did have their first loss now, but they're laying 11 against the Wolfpack here, total 55.
Alex, it pains me to say this because I spent a lot of time in Reno. I'm kind of a Wolfpack backer. They got problems right now. And this stems back to 2 straight hires I think they have blown. And I just recently came around to this conclusion on Jeff Choate. Ken Wilson, when they brought him in after Jay Norvell, look, Wilson's an accomplished defensive coach. He's at TCU now, but he had never been a head coach. And that thing plummeted as soon as he got there. Back-to-back 2-10s. They had no recourse other than to let him go. They went and hired Choate off of the Texas staff, though he had some modest success as a head coach at Montana State before that. But what neither of these guys bring is that cutting edge. You've got to think a little bit outside of the box at a place like UNR. And that's what Chris Alt brought for all those years. That's sort of what Norvell brought, very progressive offenses. This offense is terrible right now. The defense is playing hard for Choate. I'll give him that. They're only scoring barely 14 points per game. They don't have a downfield passing game. He's rotating his quarterbacks. He actually didn't start Purdy last week. He started Bianco thinking he was going to rotate them. That rarely works. And you mentioned those games. Middle Tennessee, they blew a 13-0 lead. It was a terrible game. And Middle Tennessee's a bad team. Came back and beat them up in Reno. And they had a miracle win against Sac State the week before that. An interception, a pick six in the last 2 minutes. One more note. WKU Western, you saw. By the way, I drove through Bowling Green, Kentucky.
That's the route through getting to Nashville from that part of the world.
It is, and they probably use Nashville Airport to fly out of. It's not really that far away. Yeah. They've had a week to stew after a uncharacteristically bad effort at Toledo.
Well, that was bad.
Yeah,
it was bad. The first half was horrible. They made a season's worth of mistakes in the first half, but I trust Tyson Helton. They've run up scores before. Maverick McIver, by the way, has already got 10 touchdown passes. They got a passing game. They got an offense. Nevada doesn't. Sorry, Wolfpack. I'm going to go with the Hilltoppers here.
We got a really weird road trip for this next game here, Bruce.
Okay.
Greenville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
BYU is going on the road to ECU. Just a very weird road trip to be had in this game. Now, East Carolina, I think you got to be pretty impressed with what you've seen. They looked awful at the beginning of that game against NC State, but they had the ball with a chance to tie the game late. They destroyed an FCS opponent. And I know Coastal Carolina's down, but they went to Conway and destroyed them last week. BYU is 2-0, and their 2 wins are against Portland State and Stanford in a game where Stanford's offense could do nothing. Yeah. 6.5 on the road for BYU in a very funky road spot with a total of 49.5.
Sounds like the sort of road trip I'd make, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Beautiful Greenville, which is a nice place. I think this is a very dangerous spot for BYU guys, and I think you both sort of agree with that.
Yeah.
This is a dangerous team. East Carolina, a little bit imbalanced. They throw more, but Caden Hauser, he used to be at Michigan State. Jonathan Smith could maybe have used him, I think. He's putting up some very big numbers. He's almost thrown for 1,000 yards already through 3 games. Very dynamic passing game. They have not allowed a TD against lesser foes, obviously, at Campbell and Coastal the last 2 weeks. But since that NC State game, and that you look back at that, that's not a bad effort. They got the spread cover there, 3-0 against the number. Since Blake Harrell took over last year from Mike Houston, I mean, that was very interim appointment and full time now because they closed last season well. They won the bowl game. They've covered 8 of their last 10. You mentioned BYU making this first road trip. It is also the first road start for Bear Bachmeier, the freshman quarterback, who's been held a little bit under wraps, I think, by Kalani Sitake the first 2 games. He didn't have to do too much. He's a good dual threat, and they like him a lot. And he may have ended up playing more than Retzlaff anyway this year, but it's still early in his career. First road start. BYU is a brawling sort of a team, but if you got a good passing game like ECU does, you have got a puncher's chance here. So I'm all on ECU, plus the points. They may be able to pull this thing out straight up. Sitake would take a 1-point win right now and get back to Provo. This is a dangerous spot for BYU.
It's just such a weird game for BYU to have scheduled. I hate that I'm saying this because it's always fun when we see power conference teams go to these smaller schools. There's no upside to scheduling a game like this.
This is a remnant of when they had that independent schedule.
Oh, that's right.
And
that's right.
They had to schedule. They brought East Carolina in a few years ago. And East Carolina won at Provo, I think, in 22.
Yeah.
But East Carolina said, okay, you got to come to our place once.
That's right.
So reluctantly, this is a remnant of when they were an independent and had to schedule funny.
I'm going to be honest with you, Bruce. Even though that wasn't that long ago, it feels like it was about 20 years ago at this point.
It does.
But yeah, no, 100% right. Because he went to Coastal Carolina that year, too. They were an independent, too. They did a lot of weird things.
There were some weird things.
Because of that. All right. There's one more that I want to ask you about because we got asked from the chat.
And then me one more, too.
Yeah, okay. So we got 2 more games to ask you about. So we got one from the chat, and this has been one of the bigger movers throughout the week. Missouri and South Carolina, huge game in the SEC. South Carolina got clocked by Vandy. Even before Sellers left with an injury, Vandy was the better team.
Yes,
even before he left, and then it really got out of hand. About an hour ago, Pete Thamel, who we, of course, know, one of the best reporters out there for ESPN, there's optimism around the status of South Carolina quarterback Lenoris Sellers for the Missouri game on Saturday, per ESPN sources. He's been in practice, and there's been positive signs for his availability. Now, This opened 7 at Circa when they opened it before everybody else on Sunday afternoon, and it got steamed up to 13 immediately. Market thinking sellers won't play. Now we're back to 10 based off this news here at the South Point and basically market wide, and the total is 48.5 on this game.
Dicey here because I've been following this too, and the word from Shane Beamer was, and his policy there is if you don't practice Tuesday and Wednesday, you don't play. So he came back. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play, but there's a chance he will. And Sellers is so valuable. I think until you know for sure he's going to be in there, it makes it a very dicey read. But I will say this about South Carolina, and had I been here last week, I would have given you guys Vandy. I was in the RJ pool. I think I gave the RJ challenge. I had Vandy in there. The problem that I see with South Carolina this year was promoting Mike Shula to offensive coordinator. I think it's passed him by a little bit. He hasn't been calling plays for several years. He was on staff as like an analyst last year, maybe the last 2 years for Shane Beamer. But when Dell Loggins went to App State as the head coach, he was a very accomplished offensive coordinator, and he was on good sync with Lenore Sellers. The first couple of games, Sellers had poor stats this year, and I think part of this problem is Shula. So I'm not going to take South Carolina regardless in this game. It's just a matter, do I want to go with Mizzou or not? Listen, under the radar, a sneaky good portal move was getting Amon Hardy out of ULM.
Yep.
I mean, he may end up leading the nation in rushing this year. And Pribula coming in from Penn State. Now, I mean, it's his job at quarterback because Horn got hurt. He's looked good. And who knows? I mean, only because of Drew Aller in his way at Penn State, a first-round NFL pick. That's why he wasn't playing before. I think Eli Drinkwitz is a darn good coach. And I would lean to Mizzou here, though. I kind of wait a little bit to see what Sellers.
Just want to throw one note on Hardy out there. And this was sent to me by my buddy Brendan Kiley, who does radio, ESPN radio in St. Louis. Amon Hardy became, since the year 2000, the 5th SEC running back to go in the first 3 games of the season to rush for over 450 yards in those games. The other ones, Nick Chubb, pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Marcus Lattimore, pre-injury, was as good as anyone in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Darren McFadden, some people think he's the best college running back of this millennium. And Rudy Johnson, who's pretty darn good himself.
That's pretty good company. Pretty good company.
Yeah.
Pretty good company. This is Eli working the portal. Hardy was out there for a lot of teams to get, and Eli pulled him in. Very shrewd by. He's a very sharp guy. I've talked to him at SEC Media Days. I like him a lot.
It's 10 back-to-back 10-win seasons for Missouri.
Yeah.
Before I get to my question about the UNLV game that's coming up this weekend too, I just want your thoughts. Probably a no play. It's why we didn't talk about it. But you guys brought something up that we talked about yesterday. 100-1 right now for 2 teams to make it to the playoffs, and it's Mizzou and it's Vandy. Are you interested in either of those?
Yeah, I am. At 100-1, I mean, if it's 20-1, maybe no.
Right.
Just to win it all. Yeah, to win it all.
Oh, to win it all.
Those are to win it all.
Oh, just to win it all.
Okay.
Yeah, those are win it all numbers.
It was to win it all. You're right. So, but we were thinking make it to the dance. Maybe head to the
Back to the dance, yeah. I mean, if I got a spare $20, I might throw. I should be able to scrounge it up. Let me tell you something. This will just be for them, each of these making the playoff. And Jeff mentioned that about Mizzou winning 10 each of the last 2 years. I think Eli is very underrated as a head coach. They love him there. He likes it there. They have continued to punch above their weight. He's got that thing rolling. And I think I am the chairman of the Diego Pavia for Heisman Committee. I think, listen, if you make New Mexico State and Vandy competitive when you're there, I mean, Jerry kills some of that too because the coach came along. But no, Pavia, I mean, he is infectious. And and you need. And by the way, I see teams like that. I think Florida State. I may have underestimated them because I think Castellanos gives them a little of that.
Yeah.
DJU did not. No. Last year, he's just aloof and just. I mean, doesn't. And Nico's the same way at UCLA. He doesn't inspire the troops. Pavia does that. Vandy's got a shot to run this thing a little bit further.
Vandy, we talked about Pavia Heisman yesterday. He's still getting dealt at 60-1, which stunned me.
I'd look at that too.
Okay, so you're looking more quarterback, not so much the long shots to win it all. Sorry, I said playoffs there. But that makes sense because we do like both of those quarterbacks as well and think those are both sleeper teams in the SEC.
Yes.
What do you think about UNLV? I know a lot of sharp people that like Miami, Ohio this week. Numbers kind of gone everywhere, but it's 2.5 right now. UNLV on the road against the Red Hawks.
Alex, I tell you, Calandria has been a real surprise. I mean, I didn't think he was going to even. I thought Orgy was going to be the guy.
Right.
And Orgy's out for the year.
And
now.
he's out for the year now.
Yeah.
And Calandria has been awfully good. I do think, though, the schedule has been very kind for UNLV. I mean, UCLA is worse than we could have imagined. They had trouble with Idaho State. Sam Houston was a mess that game.
Yep.
I'd be leery about this game for UNLV. I might look to Miami. The two Big Ten teams kind of bullied them around, and they sort of had to retool their offensive line. But they do have Dequan Finn, who was the MVP of the MAC 2 years ago, and from Toledo. They might be able to do something against UNLV, and I like Chuck Martin a lot. This is not my favorite game on the card. I might lean a little bit to the Redhawks here.
Another funky road spot, 9 a.m. or noon local time in Oxford, 9 a.m. for UNLV's body clock. Just a weird, again, a bunch of these weird, we see it in the conference play now.
One other note, Dan Mullen's name's going to come up for UCLA.
He's going to come up for Vatech too, probably.
And you know what? UNLV isn't going to mind that because they get a nice windfall and a buyout.
Yeah,
so
they get a lot of money
just
back, for
saying,
sure.
keep an eye on that.
Well, Bruce, it's always a pleasure to have you in. We'll have you in every Wednesday moving forward to look at these college slates. CBS Sportsline also, too. Alex White's biggest competition in the RJ contest as well. So always a pleasure,
and
Bruce.
I'm having to go deep in my wardrobe to find all these shirts.
Well, we'll see which SEC, because you had Kentucky last time you were in. Let's see which SEC shirt pops up.
I'll have another
week.
one.
Bruce Marshall, everyone. Going to see him every Wednesday on the show at 10:30s moving forward. All right. When we get back, our power ratings in the National Football League will lead us out the door here on a Wednesday morning. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the Book. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching?
This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
We're back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. We got a little bit more for you here today as we cross 11 o'clock here on the West Coast. We have our NFL Power Rankings coming in a second. We'll have our whiteboard. We'll also have Ticker Trivia brought to you by, as always now, City Lights Shine, which I have the caramel apple next to me, the Joey Logano edition, and, of course, the poll question as well. All right, Alex, I'll start with the Power Rankings. Let's just go right to it. Here in the NFL, and I had changes. We both had changes this week. The one thing that didn't change, though, was my top 5 teams. That did not change. I kept them the same. Again, remember, I had LA up there last week. I keep the Eagles at 1, but I was very close to doing something a little bit funky of moving Green Bay all the way to number 1. They were the one that I considered vaulting. I just couldn't justify it just yet. I need to see how they play on the road. I need to see if this is not just they're a monster at Lambeau and they're not that good on the road. Philadelphia went on the road, and even though the Chiefs are not the Chiefs that we're used to, they went on the road and with 100 passing yards still found a way to beat the Chiefs. That impressed me. Buffalo's number 2. They destroyed the Jets. The Jets might just be really bad again. Baltimore, I moved them up, even with losing in week 1. I kept them at number 3. Again, we're splitting hairs with this top 4.
Yes.
At least for me. I know you differ for me on Buffalo. But to me, this top 4 is, any way you put them, I can't really argue with it. Number 5, I have the Rams. I was higher on the Rams going into the year to begin with. I like what I've seen from their defense. It was a sleepy spot in Tennessee, and they crushed them in the second half. So credit to them. They covered all numbers in that one. Detroit at 6. I wish I had a Detroit ranking at home and a Detroit ranking on home for this, or on the road, I should say, because Detroit at Ford Field is probably number 2.
Yes.
And then Detroit on the road is like number 12 or number 13. They are just a humongous difference. And we saw that and look, they won 15 games last year, but they were virtually unbeatable at home when Goff wasn't turning the ball over. And on the road, they weren't as impressive, even though they won a lot of games. They're number 6. All right, here are the 2 new additions. Cincinnati falls out because even though they're 2-0, Joe Burrow's gone. Like, we can't have them in the top 10 anymore with no Joe Burrow anymore for likely the rest of the NFL season. The other team that fell out was Washington. That also was in part because Jaden Daniels might not play this week. How healthy is he? And they were completely overmatched by a top-tier team. Chargers go to 7. Boy, if this is the version of the Chargers and Justin Herbert we're getting, they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. So they go to number 7. Tampa goes to number 8. They were very close. Last week, they were 11 last week. I vault them into number 8, even though they probably should have lost that game to Houston. But I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. And you know what? That offense is real. That offense is very much real at Baker Mayfield. Kansas City falls only 1 spot because I don't want to destroy them for losing to Philly. But, boy, it's really ugly right now in Kansas City. That defense is nowhere near as good as we thought it was going to be.
Right.
And that offense misses Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. They're hopeful to get Worthy back this week against the Giants. Of course, we won't see Rice until their 7th game. And then I'm not going to penalize the Broncos. I had them at number 10 last week. I'm going to keep them there. They probably would have moved up if it wasn't for the leverage call, but I'm not going to penalize them. I do have my questions about Bo Nix's consistency. That is really the biggest thing. Their defense had a bad game on the road indoors. I'm not going to penalize them for that.
I know. I do like what you said about Denver, that if they would be 2-0 right now, we would be saying they won one by defense and won one offensively,
yep.
Right?
They would have been number 8 on my list. Them and the Kansas City would have been down 1 more. Tampa would have been 9, and Denver would have been 8 if they had been able to hold on. I'm not straight numbers like you will do. I have a little more intangible in there. So
yes, and I like to add my intangibles per game as we go. But so looking at mine, I will just say I have a 4.5 point difference from number 1 to number 11. And why do I? Very tight. Right?
I know.
And even like you said 1 through 4. I'll say 1 through 5 because as you see, the Eagles went from 1 to 5 for me this week, and the Kansas City Chiefs are not in my top 10. They are 11, but it is very close. So I did bump Baltimore up. So they are number 1. It's a lot of offense, right? I think they have the number 1 offense in the league. I've got them 8th right now, ranked defensively. Number 2 is the Packers. So bump them up. Really impressive win over Washington. Jeff makes great points. Let's see him do it on the road now. Buffalo moves all the way up here to number 3. Probably should have listened to Jeff earlier. Their offense is top 3 now in the league for me, and I've got them 8, tied at 8 right now defensively. So we'll see if that can hold up. I want to see them play some more elite teams and do better defensively than they did against the Ravens there. Number 4 is the Lions. I still have them in my top 5. I still do think they have all the talent in the world right there. Kind of very close to the Bills right there for even 3. 5 is the Eagles. I did take them down a little bit, but it's really more of these other teams moving them up above the Eagles. Did bring them down at least a point though. Not very impressive wins for them so far to start the year, but they are still 2-0 and they are finding ways to win. Here we go. Chargers right there at number 6. So I think I'm just oppo with you with the LA teams. But the Rams made it into my top 10 this week, late to the party. But I do think they are really good, once again, with Matthew Stafford and company. So Chargers 6, Tampa Bay 7, been high on them all year. 8, the Rams move into my top 10. 9 with the Washington Commanders. This is a Jaden Daniels in number, of course. So if I took the 2.5 out, everybody would bump up, including the Chiefs being number 10. I thought about doing that, but I just wanted to have the Commanders, that I still do have them as a top 10 team right now in the league, as long as their quarterback is healthy. And then at number 10 is the Denver Broncos, who have fallen dramatically in my top 10. think they were in the top 5 when I started out this season. So still there. Like I mentioned, 4.5 points between 1 and 11. It is tight there. Kind of stretches out a little bit, but I mean, really compact in the NFL.
Yeah, and again, you only had Kansas City falling out from last week, which I considered it. But if they lose this week to the Giants, oh boy. Oh boy.
That's the tough part, right? With what we've been talking about. And they're a road favorite. So everyone's going to be on the Giants. But it's the Chiefs and they're 0-2 and desperation. And it's hard to even want to take the other side.
And then you have Chris's thing of going from a home dog to a road favorite, which it doesn't matter in the Indy-Tennessee game. They're just pouring the money in on the Colts, who, by the way, the Colts were almost famous in the top 10 for me. They've been very impressive, but I need to see more from them. The AFC South is interesting, but we'll discuss that more tomorrow with our guy, Dwayne Colucci, who will join us at the top of the show.
Got to give credit. I did watch some of Bet Sweats today with Sammy P and Joe O, and they made a great point talking about the Colts. It's, okay, here we are, week 2. Now you have to decide, and you got to be careful. Are they going to be like the Vikings, where we couldn't catch up fast enough, and they were real last year, right?
Yep.
Or are they like the Saints, and it's a hot 2 weeks, and you don't want to over-adjust. You want to kind of tread lightly, and there might be a fallout coming.
This is a perfect week for that because they're playing a team that most would say is I'm willing to move Tennessee behind New Orleans after what the Saints did their first 2 weeks, where they were competitive in both games.
Right.
It's interesting. 4 here. There's 4.5s in the market as well on Indianapolis. Also, quick notes for this week so you're aware. Jaden Daniels did not practice today. We don't know yet if he'll be able to practice tomorrow. If he doesn't practice tomorrow, it would be all signs pointing to Marcus Mariota. Mariota also took the press conference today for the Washington Commanders, which it's usually the starting quarterback, so that's something to at least keep in mind. Commanders are down to 3. This was around 7 before the tweet on Monday from Adam Schefter about Daniels' knee. Down to 3 now, even off that awful performance by Geno Smith 2 nights ago here in Las Vegas. And then the other one, Tyrod Taylor is officially the starter for the Jets this week. Justin Fields is out with a concussion, and the market obviously does not see any difference between these two because this moved from 7 to 6.5. So there you go on that one, Alex.
Yes, and of course, remember 2 backup quarterbacks in the Cincinnati and the Minnesota game.
Yep, Browning and Wentz, we knew that that came through yesterday, that McCarthy was hurt. So we will have the 2 backups in that one. And then, of course, Mac Jones is still playing in San Francisco. Brock Purdy is still out for the time being, as we know. So it's only week 3, and we're already talking about a handful of backups playing here in the National Football League because of injury.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated, though, of course. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
All right, let's let you get your whiteboard set up here, Alex. But first, the poll question. We'll start here. Think twice. Well, that's good advice for myself, actually, honestly. Which 2-0 AFC division leader will not make the playoffs? Bills, Colts, Bengals, and Chargers are the 4 choices. Bengals were the 64% winner here today. You can make an argument for Indianapolis too, right, Alex? Like Colts, maybe it's not real through 2 weeks. Maybe they're just a product of teams getting used to seeing them play with Daniel Jones. But I'm not surprised the pollsters today went with Cincinnati as the most logical 2-0 to miss the playoffs in the AFC.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially just the time frame that Joe Burrow will be out.
Long time, 3 months at least with that. They call it turf toe, but realistically, turf toe is when you tear ligaments in your big toe. So you need that. Supports a ton of your body weight. That's why Burrow is going to miss so much time. All right, let's go to Ticker Trivia today, presented by City Lights Shine. I have the special edition Joey Logano caramel apple bottle next to me. Here's the question today. On this date, 1920, wow, Vince going back in the time machine again. The American Professional Football Association, which we now know today is the National Football League, was founded in Canton, Ohio. That's why the Hall of Fame's in Canton. Name the 3 teams that also played their first game as NFL franchises on this date in 1950, 1961, and 1967, respectively. The answers are the The San Francisco 49ers did it in 1950 against the New York Yanks. Yes, those are also the New York Bulldogs. They were in there for 3 years before they folded. The Minnesota Vikings, who again, that was the Vikings were an expansion team when the AFL came around. NFL countered with the Cowboys and the Vikings at the time. They destroyed the Chicago Bears and now won 37-13. And then the New Orleans Saints came in on this date in 1967. They fell to the LA Rams in their first tenure in Los Angeles, 27-13. Of course, wow, that $5 tickets and $6 tickets for the Minnesota games and the Saint game. Yeah, just a little different right now, unless if the team stinks at the end of the season, right, Alex?
Yeah,
that's the only time we'll ever see those prices in 2025. Of course, City Lights Shine bring you ticker trivia moving forward. You actually can get your paws on the special edition Joey Logano bottles, caramel apple, strawberry banana here in the studio, along with the South Point slot promotion here for the month of September. So be on the lookout for that when you're coming through here for City Lights Shine here at the South Point. All right, Alex, whiteboard time here on Wednesday morning.
A lot of playoff teams here on my whiteboard, as Jeff mentioned. Though we'll start treading lightly as we get closer and teams are shuffling around their lineups. But for today, I am going with the Padres and the Mets. I'm going over 4 in the first 5. I think we're going to get some runs scored with both of those pitchers going here. Phillies and Dodgers, I'm going under 4.5. Jesus Luzardo, Blake Snell on the bump. I think we'll be okay with that, and we're getting a nice number there. Red Sox minus 150 just to win outright with Giolito. And then Mariners Royals, I'm going back to it, over 8.5. Lean. Rockies, Marlins going over that 10.5 as well. That did not make my board, but I do like that one as well.
There you go. That's what we got here on Wednesday, September 17th for Alex White. Totals and one favorite, which you and I are in 100% agreement on the Bo Sox here tonight. Got to get themselves right. Can't let Cleveland have a life if you're the Red Sox to try to hold off and get one of those 6 American League playoff spots. All right, that's what we got for you. She's Alex White. I'm Jeff Parles. Big thanks to Bruce Marshall for coming in studio. Tomorrow on the show, right at the top, our guy Dwayne Colucci from the Rampart. We'll get his thoughts as we begin another football week with, I wish, a better Thursday night game, but Buffalo's double digits against Miami, which we'll break down tomorrow on the show. Shouts to the crew, as always. Here, Sean, Ryan, Vince, Drew Dog, Jerry, and Ann, as always. Thank you all. She's Alex. I'm Jeff. I'm Alex sometimes too, right? Boy, geez. See, we went too long. For Alex White, I'm Jeff Parles. We'll see you next time here on Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though this total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think there's a great Kansas City team that could